Rain fell in thin silver lines across the city street, turning the pavement into a broken mirror. Headlights smeared into long streaks of white and red. People hurried past with their heads down, collars raised, lives folded inward. Near the bus stop, under a flickering street lamp, a woman stood frozen. Her fingers trembled. Her breath came short, sharp, like it was breaking inside her chest. Lily felt him before she saw him. The sound of his shoes. The familiar rhythm. Too close. Always too close. Lily, a man's voice called from behind her. Smooth. Tight. Dangerous in the way only someone who once said I love you can be. Her stomach dropped. She didn't turn around. Her eyes searched wildly, faces, doors, anything, but the street offered nothing. Just strangers. Just rain. Just nowhere to run. Then she saw him. A tall man stood a few steps away, leaning near a black car that looked too expensive for this street. He wore a dark coat, clean lines, no logo. His posture was calm, almost carved from stone. He wasn't looking at her. He was looking at the rain. Lily didn't think. She stepped forward and grabbed his hand. It was warm. Solid. Real. She pressed close, her voice barely a breath. Please, don't say anything. Just stay. The man stiffened, surprised. His fingers twitched like he might pull away. Behind her, the other man laughed. What's this now? Hiding Lily? The stranger finally looked down at her. His eyes were sharp, unreadable. Not angry. Not kind. Just deep. Measuring. He didn't pull his hand back. Instead, he closed his fingers around hers. And in that small, reckless moment, under a dying street lamp, in the middle of a wet city night, Lily had no idea she had just touched the hand of a man the city whispered about in fear. Before we go any further, I want to know something. Where are you watching from right now? What city, what corner of the world? It's strange and beautiful how one story can reach so many hearts at once. Drop your place below, and let's stand here together for a moment. The toxic ex, Mark, stepped closer, his smile sharp. Who's your friend? He asked, eyes sliding over the stranger with lazy disrespect. The man finally spoke. His voice was low. Come. She doesn't want to talk. Mark scoffed. And who are you supposed to be? The stranger tilted his head slightly, just enough to look taller. Someone you should walk away from. Lily felt his grip tighten, not hard but steady. Like an anchor. Mark's smile faltered for half a second. He sized the man up. The coat. The car. The stillness. Something in the air shifted. Dish, Mark muttered. Whatever. You always liked hiding behind someone, Lily? He backed away, hands raised in fake surrender, but his eyes burned with promise. This isn't over. When he finally disappeared into the rain, Lily's knees almost gave out. She let go of the stranger's hand like it was hot. I'm so sorry, she said quickly. I didn't know what else to do. I swear I didn't mean to. It's fine, the man said. Up close he looked older than she thought. Early 40s maybe. A thin scar cut through one eyebrow. His face carried the quiet weight of someone who had seen too much and learned not to show it. You okay? He asked. Lily nodded, though her eyes burned. Yeah. No. But I will be. Rain soaked into her hair, her coat, her bones. My name's Lily, she added, because silence felt heavy. Michael, he replied. A simple lie. Michael glanced down the street once more, then opened the car door. Warm light spilled out. Leather seats. Clean. Safe. Do you need a ride? He asked. Just until you're somewhere secure. Lily hesitated. Every warning she'd ever learned screamed at her. Stranger. Night. Car. But Mark's voice still echoed in her ears. She nodded. Inside the car, the rain faded into a soft hush. The city slid past the windows. Lily stared at her hands in her lap, still feeling the ghost of his grip. Your ex, Michael said carefully. He's dangerous. Yes, Lily whispered. But he didn't start that way. They drove in silence for a while. Streetlights blinked like tired stars. What made you grab my hand? Michael finally asked. Lily swallowed. I saw your face. You didn't look like someone who needed to hurt others to feel strong. Michael's jaw tightened just slightly. If she only knew. The car slowed near her apartment building. Old brick. Dim windows. Thank you, Lily said, reaching for the door. For not asking questions. For not letting go. Michael watched her for a moment longer than necessary. Something unreadable passed through his eyes. Regret, maybe? Or memory. Take care of yourself, he said. As Lily stepped back into the rain, neither of them knew this chance encounter had just tied their lives together in a way neither power nor fear could undo. And somewhere deep inside Michael, a door he had sealed long ago had begun quietly to open. Lily climbed the narrow stairs to her apartment, every step heavier than the last. Inside, the silence pressed against her ears. She locked the door, leaned her forehead against it, and finally let her breath fall apart. Her phone buzzed in her pocket. One message. A known number. You got home safe. She stared at the screen. Thank you, she typed back, then hesitated before adding, for everything. The reply came a moment later. Anytime. She didn't know why, but that single word settled something inside her chest. Across the city, Michael sat alone in his car long after the engine went quiet. The rain had stopped, leaving the streets slick and shining. His driver stood a few steps away, pretending not to watch him too closely. That was the rule, never ask when Michael grew still like this. Boss, the driver finally said, careful with the word, we're late. Michael nodded but didn't move. His reflection stared back at him from the windshield. The scar. The tired eyes. The man everyone feared. And the woman who had grabbed his hand without knowing any of that. Tomorrow, Michael said, voice flat, find out who she is. Quietly. Yes, sir. The next morning, Lily returned to her routine like nothing had changed. She taught art at a small community center, where the paint never fully washed off the tables and the kids' laughter echoed too loudly in the halls. She smiled. She corrected brushstrokes. She pretended the knot in her stomach didn't exist. But Mark found her anyway. He waited outside the center, leaning against a fence, tapping his phone like he had all the time in the world. When Lily saw him, her heart slammed so hard it hurt. Please, she said when she reached him, keeping her voice low. Not here. He smirked. Relax. I just want to talk. She shook her head. You don't listen. He leaned in, close enough that she could smell his cologne, the same one he wore when he used to apologize. You embarrassed me last night. I was scared, Lily said. You don't get to be angry about that. Mark's smile thinned. You think that guy scared me? Whoever he was. Lily didn't answer. Mark stepped back, ice cold now. You'll call me tonight, or I'll make things uncomfortable here. He walked away before she could speak. Inside the center, Lily locked herself in the supply room and slid down the wall. Her hands shook. She thought of Michael's calm voice, his steady grip. She didn't want to drag him into her mess. But that night, when Mark didn't just text but sent photos, old ones, private ones, she broke. She typed Michael's number with fingers that barely worked. I'm sorry to bother you, she wrote, but I think I'm in trouble. The response came instantly. Where are you? An hour later, Michael stood outside the community center, daylight turning his coat a softer shade of gray. He looked out of place among the chipped paint and crooked signs. Lily met him at the door, eyes red. I shouldn't have called. You did the right thing, he said. She laughed weakly. You don't even know me. I know enough. He listened without interrupting as she explained. Mark's control, the threats, the years it took to realize love shouldn't hurt. Michael's face stayed calm, but something dark moved behind his eyes. This ends, he said when she finished. How? Lily asked. People like him don't just stop. Michael looked past her at the children's drawings taped to the walls. Sons. Houses. Stick figure families. Leave this with me, he said. That night, Mark's phone rang. A voice he didn't recognize spoke softly. You don't contact Lily again. Mark laughed. And who's going to stop me? Pause. Then the voice named things, addresses, bank transfers, conversations that were never meant to be heard. Silence swallowed Mark whole. I understand, Mark whispered. Good, the voice said. Disappear. The next day Mark was gone. No messages. No calls. No threats. Lily waited for the fear to return, but it didn't. Instead there was space. Quiet. Relief so strong it made her cry in the middle of the street. She met Michael that evening, unable to stop herself. What did you do? She asked. Nothing illegal, he said lightly. Just reminded him of consequences. She studied him. You're not just a stranger who helps people, are you? Michael smiled, but it didn't reach his eyes. Would it change anything if I wasn't? Lily shook her head slowly. No. Kindness is kindness. If you were standing there watching this unfold, someone stepping in when fear felt unavoidable, what would you have done? Be honest and write it below. And if this moment stirred something in you, tap like. Sometimes that's the quietest way to say compassion still matters. They sat on a bench outside the center as the sky darkened, neither of them speaking. The city breathed around them. Michael knew he was crossing lines he had spent years drawing. Helping her felt different. dangerous, necessary. And as Lily talked about her students, about dreams she kept small because it felt safer that way, Michael realized this wasn't just about protecting her anymore. It was about the part of himself he thought was already lost. Days passed, then weeks. Lily's life slowly found a rhythm again, one that didn't include looking over her shoulder every few steps. The community center felt brighter. The kids laughed louder. Even the city seemed less sharp around the edges. Michael stayed at a careful distance. He checked in with short messages. "You okay? Everything quiet?" Sometimes she replied with a simple yes. Other times she sent photos, paint-splattered tables, a crooked drawing a child insisted was a dog. Michael never commented much, but he saved every image. At night, alone in his penthouse high above the city, he found himself staring at them. Proof of a world untouched by the one he ruled. Michael wasn't always the man people feared. Once he was just a kid named Michael Reyes, raised by a mother who worked double shifts and still found time to braid his hair before school. When she died, too young, too quietly, the city taught him faster lessons. How power filled the space grief left behind. How fear was easier to control than hope. He built his empire brick by brick, mistake by mistake. And then Lily grabbed his hand. One evening Lily asked if he wanted to walk. Just walk. No car. No destination. Michael hesitated, then agreed. They moved through a small park, leaves crunching underfoot. The air smelled like damp earth and distant food carts. "You never talk about yourself," Lily said gently. "Nothing interesting there," Michael replied. She stopped walking. Turned to him. "I don't believe that." Michael looked away. The city skyline blinked in the distance. "People don't like my kind of stories." "Try me." Silence stretched between them. Not awkward. Heavy. "I make my living in security," he said finally. "The kind that scares people into behaving." Lily didn't flinch. "Do you enjoy it?" "No." "Then why do it?" Michael's mouth tightened. "Because once you're deep enough, stopping hurts more people than continuing." Lily nodded slowly, like she understood more than he expected. They sat on a bench. A child ran past chasing a ball, laughter echoing. Michael watched, something aching quietly in his chest. "I used to want simple things," he said without looking at her. "A family. A place where no one had to be afraid." "What happened?" Lily asked. "I learned fear works faster." Lily reached out, not to grab his hand this time, but to rest her fingers lightly on his wrist. "Fast doesn't mean right." Her touch was soft, unafraid. Michael closed his eyes for a moment. "Have you ever had someone help you when no one else would? Someone who showed up quietly and changed everything? If you have, write yes, and their name below. Gratitude has a way of traveling further than we expect." Trouble came back into Lily's life without warning. One of Mark's old friends showed up at the center asking questions, pretending to be interested in enrolling a child who didn't exist. Lily felt the old fear curl back into her ribs. She called Michael that night. "I think it's starting again," she said, voice tight. Michael didn't hesitate. "I'll handle it." This time, handling it meant confronting his own world. The man was connected. Not powerful but reckless. The kind that caused problems if ignored. Michael summoned him, not with threats but with presence. The meeting lasted 10 minutes. It ended with apologies and a promise to leave Lily's life untouched. But word spread. Whispers moved through Michael's network. The boss is protecting someone. A woman. An ordinary woman. Weakness, some thought. Others saw something more dangerous. A reason Michael might finally change. That night, Michael stood alone on his balcony, city lights humming below. He knew what was coming. You don't shield someone from darkness without it noticing. Lily invited him over for dinner a few days later. Simple food. Burnt edges. Nervous laughter. "You don't have to keep saving me," she said softly as they washed dishes together. "I'm not," Michael replied. "I'm choosing." She met his eyes. "That choice has a cost." "I know." What Lily didn't know, what Michael hadn't told her, was that his enemies were watching now. Calculating. Waiting for the right moment to strike where it would hurt him most. And as Lily smiled at him across the small kitchen, Michael realized the truth too late. She wasn't just someone he helped anymore. She was the one thing he couldn't afford to lose. The night everything broke apart began quietly. Lily stayed late at the community center, cleaning brushes, stacking paper, locking windows one by one. Outside the street was calm, too calm. When she finally stepped out, the air felt thick, like the city was holding its breath. She didn't see the van until it was already stopping beside her. The door slid open. Hands grabbed her. Lily screamed, but the sound vanished into the night. By the time Michael's phone rang, it was already too late. "Boss," one of his men said, voice tight, "it's her." The world narrowed to a single point. "Where?" Michael asked. "An address. An old warehouse near the river. Neutral ground. A message. You protect her. Now you pay." Michael arrived alone. Inside, Lily sat tied to a chair, fear written across her face, but still standing somehow. Across from her stood Victor Hale, a rival who had waited years for leverage. "You broke the rules," Victor said calmly. "You let your heart show." Michael stepped forward. "Let her go. This is between you and me." Victor smiled. "It was. Until she mattered." Lily shook her head. "Michael, don't." Michael raised a hand gently. "It's okay." Victor's men closed in. The room tightened with danger. "Now it's your turn to pause for a second. Think about one small good thing you did recently, something kind, something human. Write it below. Sometimes reminding each other of light is how we survive the dark." Victor leaned closer to Michael. "Give me your territory. Walk away. Or she doesn't." Michael didn't answer right away. He looked at Lily. In her eyes he saw something unexpected. "Trust. I built my life on fear," Michael said slowly. "I thought it kept people safe." Victor laughed. "Fear works." "Yes," Michael said. "But it also destroys." He turned back to Victor. "You want my empire? Take it." The room went silent. Victor blinked. "What?" "I'm done," Michael said. "All of it. The money. The power. I walk away. She goes free." Lily's breath caught. "Michael, no." He met her gaze. "This is my choice." Victor studied him, searching for a trick. Found none. Finally he snapped his fingers. "Untie her." The ropes fell away. Lily stood, unsteady, and ran straight into Michael's arms. In that moment everything changed. If that hit your chest like it hit mine, leave a red heart. Some moments don't need words, just feeling. Michael turned to leave with Lily, but Victor's voice stopped him. "You really think you'll survive without power?" Michael paused. "I don't know. But I'll survive with myself." They walked out together. The fallout came fast. Michael vanished from the world he once ruled. Accounts frozen. Allies gone. Enemies circling but finding nothing left to take. He moved into a modest apartment across town. No guards. No armored cars. Freedom felt strange. Art. Quiet. Lily stayed close. She helped him learn the shape of normal days, grocery shopping, fixing a broken lamp, sitting on the floor eating takeout. Michael struggled. Some nights, the past clawed at him. One evening, he said quietly, "If you want to leave, I'll understand." Lily looked at him for a long time. "Be honest. Could you forgive yourself for what you were?" Michael swallowed. "I'm trying." "Be honest with yourself for a moment. Could you forgive someone who gave up everything to become better?" Type forgive, if you could, or never, if it would be too much to bear. Months passed. The community center hosted a small art show. Children's work lined the walls. Parents laughed. Music played softly. Michael stood in the back, hands in his pockets, watching Lily help a little girl hang a crooked painting. "You did good," Lily said, joining him. "We did," Michael replied. He started volunteering there, quietly fixing things, helping kids with homework. No one knew who he used to be. And for the first time that felt right. One night as they locked up together, Lily slipped her hand into his. Not out of fear. Out of choice. If you believe love can still win, after mistakes, after darkness, comment, Amen. Let's leave some hope here for someone who needs it tonight. They walked home under the streetlights, the city no longer threatening, just alive. Michael stopped and looked at Lily. "You saved me too," he said. She smiled softly. "You just didn't know you needed it yet." If this story moved you, don't scroll past quietly. Tap like, not for me but for the soul who carried pain and still chose kindness. One small click can say, "I felt this. I see you." In the end, the truth was simple. Lily grabbed a stranger's hand to escape fear. That stranger let go of power to hold on to love. And somewhere between loss and courage, two broken paths met and walked forward together.